Here.
Wyland,
Here.
Thomasgar, Diggles. All right, and I'm here. No public here, any public comment? Approving the minutes of the March 4th meeting. Is there a motion to approve those, notes that, Leo sent out?
I will make a motion to approve the minutes.
Second.
Motion by Wyland, second by Diggles. Any discussion? All in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Chair comments. First of all, I wanted to recognize Gary Bloom for his outstanding service to the PFC. Been a voice of experience and a mentor, and really think you've done a lot for the PFC, and I want to thank you.
And I want to thank the PFC for being what they are. 22 years as chief, I had PFC 19 of those years. And none of them, even in the department that were at 27 sworn officers, operated at the function and did all the functions that this one does. Yeah, pretty much they just okayed what the chief did. You know, hiring, firing, everything. They just made a motion and so forth. And I did get interviewed in Germantown, but it was there was a guy that started staff command school at Northwestern and other chief that did the actual interview. They didn't really do much interviewing. They just took notes while they were asking me questions. So again, very, very pleased with the Police and Fire Commission, pleased with what we now have as a police department, what we have as a fire department. It's great for the community.
Thank you.
Thank you.
How long are you on the PFC, Gary?
Over 5 years, I don't know. I actually, I've served maybe 2 years of Scott Drew's term and then added another 5 years. So I think it was about,
I mean, the commission was created in June of 18.
Yeah.
And Scott and Doug Caston and I were the original 3 members.
right.
And then Scott left very shortly thereafter. And you were appointed to replace him, must be in
So it's about
in
7
the fall or late summer of 18, and
Yeah.
you've been here ever since.
Yeah.
So if that's 6 or 7 years, then good job.
Thank you.
Thanks again, Gary. Second on that list, I sent it all to you, all out to you guys, but, I had sent out the eligibility to hire document to, Chief Abbott for Mason check. I wouldn't call it a curveball, but it was a little discussion here on a special FHR meeting that was called for 4:30 today. And they asked Brandon and I both to come. The gist of one of the FHR members was, we've always known who your candidates were that you were gonna hire this time. This kid's from out of town and, we don't really know them and, we sure would like to meet them before we decide on the benefit and pace part of it. Which was good because they stuck to and they recognized that village board is exclusive for operations, benefits and salary and things of that nature. So there was no misunderstanding about that. And they reiterated they want the PFC to continue to be exclusive jurisdiction for hiring, demotion, promotion, and so forth. So there wasn't an argument about that. It was just, they'd like to come up with some way of a meet and greet type thing before they decide on what level salary they go. And I think it might have been because this case was a lateral transfer, so we're hiring an experienced police officer as opposed to a new kid out of the academy and that did all of our phases of initial hire, like including the physical agility testing and the written testing where we exempted lateral people. So, I suggested we might be able to, provide a meeting of a candidate. But I just wanted to make sure it would in no way affect the hiring. So, and that seemed like, and then they discussed further about, well, if we're gonna do that, and they liked that idea, but if they thought that they should do that with everything, fire department, public works and police. So I don't know where that's gonna go. They gotta be careful with that fine line of state law. But that's what that special meeting was about before ours.
Go ahead, Gary.
I think it's a step backwards because the reason Mason met with Chief and Ben is to avoid what Scott had to go through, what meeting with committees. I mean, that was,
Well, that's a good question because we don't want what happened to Chief Drew to happen to any other
Right.
employee. And that was Chief Drew on his own with this huge huge committee,
right,
6-on-1 or whatever it was.
having to
That's
negotiate.
not right. So that's why we pushed for Ben and,
It makes more sense.
Brandon to
Yeah.
do it, you know.
I mean, I concur, it's bad, as you have stated, as Andrea stated in the past, it's bad HR practice to put a candidate in front of a candidate that's basically already been hired in front of a cluster of people and have them somehow think that this is a final test of their worthiness for the position.
Yeah, but I think what they ultimately suggested in the meeting of a candidate was it wouldn't be a salary topic intensive meeting. It would be getting to know you, how, what do you feel like small town volunteer fire, department work would be like? I don't know. Assistant Chief, do you have any thoughts on that?
It's hard enough to get people to
Yeah,
volunteer.
I know.
Fire department.
No kidding.
I mean, to extend this to the fire department as well, I think it's gonna just prolong the process
Well,
and also turn people away. I mean, that's a little bit of an intimidating situation.
Exactly.
Whether or not that's their intent, it becomes very formal and having to go in front of a larger board.
yeah, and it's difficult for, I think, young people in even more so.
Could they be invited to an interview that is already occurring with us and then just not have any input in the process? I mean, I don't know that I necessarily want to open the door for that either, but to add another step to all of this process seems very counterintuitive to the streamlining that we've been working so hard to
Exactly.
do.
Okay,
I think it's intimidating.
gotcha.
I think that there's a whole bunch of people coming in to. And
The other
and
option-
knowing some of them, they're gonna ask questions and it's gonna,
Yeah, the other thing that we could do is regardless of FHR and PFC, two different areas. Once the person is hired, I have absolutely no issue picking a day and having a meet the new officer. Do this all after, because
after.
you guys did what you guys do. FHR voted to do what they do.
Mhm.
Once the candidate starts at the end of April, I have no issues on a day he's working, opening up the Bueller Center and pushing out on our Facebook or whatnot. Come
Yeah.
meet our new
Say
officer.
hi.
Yeah, and
Yeah.
and at that point, it's not gonna change what has or is going to happen
Mhm.
with department or with board, committee to committee to committee by any means. This was just a matter of,
Well, maybe that should be on you then,
Yeah.
after it goes through the process.
Yeah.
Instead.
that way you're not changing the PFCs, what you guys do, FHR are the same.
But I'm telling you, there was insinuation to have some type of event occur
Correct,
prior
Yeah.
to salary and benefit negotiation.
yeah,
And almost, now I sit back and think about it, maybe, it's really, cleaner if it's done afterwards.
yeah.
And our position is done.
Yeah.
with the employee.
Agreed.
I think it'd
There's
be
no
really
problem with what you're
intimidating to
proposing.
have
I think that's great.
somebody interviewing and having 4 or 5 other people here staring at them, not asking them any questions.
Yeah, yeah,
And after the fact, after he's on the job, then there's no way in his mind that he's gonna construe any of this to be a qualifier for his employment.
Right.
It is then simply what I think they're looking for is a chance to get to meet the new guy.
and you know what, the thing is, the fire chief, the police chief, and the director of public works all have the strings on the probationary period that an employee is under the
Mhm.
first year.
Yeah.
So that doesn't have to go before a PFC
Right.
if you have an issue. He's probationary.
Mhm.
If you say he's gone, he's gone.
I think it's a little different between full-time police officer, full-time public works versus, you know,
Absolutely.
Volunteer
fire department.
Yeah.
But the FHR committee's feeling was, well, we gotta be consistent. We do it for one, we gotta do it for everyone.
Yeah, maybe, maybe not.
I disagree with that,
Yeah, I'm just saying what they,
right?
I just, maybe 40 years ago, I was interviewed once by an interviewer and the commission sat behind me. Very, very funny feeling, you know, I
It's got a
couldn't
firing squad
understand.
behind
In
you.
fact, I might have gotten in trouble with it, but I said, I'm gonna sit off to the side so I can see the other people in this.
Right, absolutely.
yeah, that'd be,
Yeah, that was interesting.
okay, I just wanted to let you guys know what was going on, that's all. So, yeah, we put out that eligibility to hire document for the police department. We also put out the eligibility to hire document for Quentin Merritt and Justice Little George. As we had agreed on our last meeting, both of those met the satisfied successful tests on medical. I'm assuming this is, Brian, did you guys start doing anything with those two yet? Do you know?
Not to my knowledge.
Merritt and Little George?
Not to my knowledge.
Okay. All right, the next item is discuss a modification of the Police and Fire Commission rules and with a potential motion. Did you all get what I sent, that minor modification is? What that does is, Brian, for your edification, it takes out the part of the Police and Fire Commission rules that has to do with the fire department membership committee. Since there's been, some changes by the current fire chief, this brings our rules more in line with what they got. Any thoughts?
I don't think that belonged in our bylaws to begin with. It's,
It was a,
I know.
it was in there to try to make a
Yeah.
smoother transition, no matter what, you know, at the time.
Yeah.
But now that they're written, they've written theirs.
Yeah.
There's no need for it. That's,
Any further discussion? Oh, actually, it should be a motion before we discuss, but I'd like to make a motion to pass that modification to our rules. Is there a second?
I seconded.
Hold on, have we talked to the fire chief about this and has there been input and do we need to get, his input if the fire chief is not here?
Well, I sent it to Dustin, but, and we'll give Brian a minute. I mean, it's just that one paragraph that we'd like to strike from our rules. And let us know what you think, Brian.
So this is a PFC
Right.
bylaws or whatever you want to call it.
Yeah. It's our manual. And that chapter has to do with fire department.
So what you're saying is you think the next section covers it? And we don't need to have a formal policy in place prior to the interviewees or applicants coming to the PFC?
Yes,
Which is certainly in line with the entire process of trying to streamline things and not hold up candidates
yeah.
coming on board. So I think it makes sense. I just want to make sure that the fire department also agrees.
Yeah, that's your problem.
Okay,
Okay, sorry, carry
no
on.
problem. If there's no further discussion,
Have a motion.
all in favor, say aye.
I,
Opposed? Motion carries. So what I'll do is make these changes in our master and send out a new amended PFC book. And as a matter of practice, or a matter of course, we need to update PFC rules from time to time because things change. So, don't be afraid to look at that and make recommendations to change. I think we have to change a few in the police department side too. Okay. Fire chief monthly report. You got anything for us, Brian?
Not much. We're up to 66 calls for the calendar year. We've got some wildland prescribed burn training plan. And the weather cooperates this month. About it, unless you have any questions.
I don't have any questions. Anybody have anything for Brian? Okay. Police chief monthly report.
Obviously, Chief Drew retired now. If you guys ever have questions, comments, concerns, anything like that, please feel free to reach out to me. Work closely with the PFC and continue to do that as well. PFC is very much needed in communities like we have, so, nothing new since last month, other than, I did give a conditional offer to Mason Check for a full-time, police officer position in the village, and he has accepted it. His start date will be April 28th, and, he is an FTO for field training officer himself at UWSP. However, it's a lot different there than what we're gonna have here. So I will put him through, I'm hoping 4 weeks of FTO training, and, besides myself and Officer Murtis, I'm also going to, ask Grand Rapids Police Department and Nakusa Police Department to have him do a shift or two with each of those departments as we work hand in hand with them and back them up. Plus, then he'll get a little bit more variety of calls, as Grand Rapids is different, but yet they're similar, but they're busier. Same with Nakusa. I don't know that that's ever been done before, but that's something I'm gonna try to implement to get Mason up to check. They're up to speed with having complaints and dealing with situations that when he's on his own, that he'll feel comfortable with.
I
So,
see what you did there.
yeah. So, other than that, as of today, Officer Meredith is now the school resource officer designee. And he will be, going to some training in May. And then, other than that, I had mentioned to Scott earlier, 2 Project Lifesaver receivers were ordered, and they will be in the community very soon. One will go to the fire department, the other will go to the police department. That was donated through a nonprofit with a monetary donation. Training for that will be put on through Wood County Sheriff's Department at some point in the near future. So that's
Great.
something that we've been trying to implement between the fire department and the police department for the last couple of years, and I'm glad it's gonna happen, so. Other than that,
Great.
good to go.
Do you see that training during the day or in the evening?
Not sure. I'll get a hold of you and Chief Lease and we'll figure it out.
Okay.
I have the training already, so, we'll maybe do it like on like a typical training night.
Okay.
And do something like that. So this is, he doesn't even know, Dustin doesn't even know that they were ordered, so it's come to fruition that literally today, so.
How close can you get, Brandon?
We have, you can, depending on what type of antenna you're using, you can get a slight signal with it from a mile out.
Oh,
But with the handhelds, half mile, quarter mile. So I've done a lot of training with this when I
you
was.
see
on
the
rescue.
signal stronger the closer you get, you mean,
Yeah.
like within feet?
Yeah, oh yeah, yep,
Gotcha.
yep,
If
until,
you're familiar with the old bear tracking dog collars and stuff like that, it's very much similar to
Okay,
old bear dog tracker collars.
that's
Yeah.
great. Okay. Anything else, chief? Is that it?
that's it.
All right, then I'd like to go, for a motion to go in a closed session pursuant to Wisconsin statutes 19.85 1C to consider employment over any public employee which the commission has jurisdiction and exercise responsibility. In this closed session, we'll discuss, results of a part-time police officer candidate interview, as well as an update on 2 current fire department first responder candidate interviews. And I'd like to ask Brian and Brandon to stay